Shirley and Sandra Barkovich, and we're presenting augmented reality as something that is exploding on the American scene as we stand here this evening. Next slide, please. Augmented reality is the use of GPS and other technologies to enhance the real-world experience. Most of you have experienced the constantly moving superimposed goal line on television football coverage. This is augmented reality, and it has been around for a while already, but it is now bursting into our lives. Next slide, please. Apple has just launched just last Friday, their new iBeam system, which has been installed in all their stores. Next slide, please.
And Al, if it takes me a few moments, just continue speaking because it
Okay.
might take a little longer for them
So
to flip
anywhere
over.
you are stores, your iPhone or iPad will be able to get all sorts of information. Next slide after that. So you can just go into the next one, please. It uses their latest software, which is, I believe, iOS 7, and the actual iBeams look just like this. And they're designed with the use of Bluetooth instead of GPS because Bluetooth works better indoors. Next slide, please. The iBeacons are strategically placed throughout the store, tracking your movements and offering up specials, providing information on the product you are looking at, or helping expedite checkout. Next slide, please. iBeacon is also being rolled out at Macy's this holiday season, where it will make it easier to get pricing on information and products. Next slide, please. This will allow a shopper to make a more informed purchasing decision and also help in the checkout process. Next slide, please. Augmented reality could also be used in the grocery shopping experience. Next slide, please. And generally used quite effectively in a commercial sense. Next slide, please. It can also be used by the automotive industry to bring the particular section of the owner's manual to your smartphone, just by clicking a picture of the area in question. Next slide, please. The auto industry can also enhance and bring navigation to a windshield display, greatly assisting motorists visually on upcoming turns and traffic in front of you. Next slide, please. And through the use of GPS, provide displayed distances to vehicles in front of you. I think that's what we just said. The government will provide visitor information through the use of augmented reality delivered to the traveler's smartphone or tablet. Next slide, please. Information will always be at the fingertips of travelers. The ever-present tour guide. Next slide, please. Travel and understanding one's whereabouts right from your hotel window will be commonplace very soon. Next slide, please. Augmented reality is even being used to allow you to sample various eyeglass styles from an image from your webcam right from your home. Next slide, please. We now live in a world where information will always be a few swipes away. Next slide, please. Our whereabouts are being monitored more and more in a technologically connected world. Gabriel will now introduce you to the use of augmented reality in the medical field, a topic that is very close to my heart. Thank you for your time, and I turn it over to Gabriel.
All right, thanks, Al. So, what I'm going to be talking about now is using iBeacon in a healthcare educational environment. Um, my background has been quite a while been in higher education, and now working in the healthcare environment. Seeing a lot of technological changes in terms of using technology and providing medical education. Next slide, please. As Al has mentioned, up until now, the vast majority of the interest with iBeacon has been more related towards retail and commercial applications. Just as Al has mentioned, within the last couple of months or so, there's been a lot of talk about using iBeacon in a retail environment and providing that interaction with shoppers as they're coming into the store and providing shopping information and navigating towards products and sales within a store. Next slide, please. One of the reasons why there's so much interest in this is because of the iOS devices, starting with the iPhone 4S and the iPad third generation. All of those devices that have been sold since that point have the ability to be configured as an iBeacon transmitter or receiver. For example, it's been stated in the media that when you walk into the Apple Store, for example, for them to be able to use iBeacon, they're actually using their iPads and iPhone devices have been programmed to act as a transmitter. So, according to Apple sales information of those devices, there's now 240 million devices now that's capable of either being used as a transmitter or as a receiver. So that's an awful lot of devices that can be instantly programmed and made to provide this type of augmented reality. Next slide, please. But with so much attention being focused on iBeacon for commercial applications, the question I had was, could this be potentially used for other applications, such as in educational environments? Next slide, please. And the conclusion I came to is absolutely yes, it can. Next slide, please. Up until this point, traditional medical simulation training compri- basically comprises of a room that's outfitted with a very expensive mannequin, for example. Only small groups of students can go into the room and perform that simulation. So you got a number of obstacles. A small space where only just a handful of students can get into the room and perform the simulation. Um, while those students can do the simulation, you've got a number of other students that can't necessarily see the simulation in action, or if they're doing so, it's through a closed circuit television camera or some other means where they're not really there physically hands on. Not to mention these spaces cost extremely a lot of money, and the devices such as the mannequin themselves are very expensive. So it's provides a kind of it's valuable in that you've got a life-size mannequin. You're learning how to perform these simulations, but there's definitely some limitations to it. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, just mentioned, you have the cost involved. The simulation space is limited, and live environment that you're trying to simulate is often a limitation as well. Next slide, please. But can you imagine the possibilities now of maybe possibly using something like iBeacon to be used in a healthcare medical education environment? For example, rather than having a simulation room and having just a handful of students interacting with the mannequin, now, for example, the students could actually be on the live floor and interacting with iBeacon to give the students something they should be performing at that moment in time. So they could literally be walking around the floor with a device in their hand. iBeacon sends out a signal when they come into particular room on a floor of the hospital, and then that prompts them to give them the actions that they need to perform to go through the simulation. And as I just mentioned before, also, if you got everybody has a device that's capable of being either a transmitter or a receiver, you have a lot more interaction going on, and it provides a much more realistic environment that they can be performing simulations in. Rather than being in a simulation room, now you're actually on a real live environment. Next slide, please. So now we have our on-floor simulations. Another example could be if, for example, you're needing training in the emergency department. Instead of being in a classroom where there are a handful of people in breakout sessions, for example, and they're trying to simulate through an actual trauma victim coming into the room. Classrooms, typically, you have very limited ability to reproduce that live environment. Now, with the possibility of iBeacons, they could actually go in onto the floor of the emergency department, be performing stimulations, but receiving those instructions and prompts through their iBeacon device without causing any disruptions in the actual live operations that are being performed there on the floor. Next slide, please. It can also be used on other floors of the hospital as well, not just in a medical environment, but exactly for administrators that need training as well. There's a lot of coordination and a lot of teamwork that's involved inside a hospital, not just in providing the health care, but for the operations of the hospital as well. Those, again, you can provide that training and simulation in a live environment as opposed to trying to do it within the confines of a traditional classroom. Next slide, please. So all the examples I just cited, is the goal would be to try to provide a more realistic simulation environment, and iBeacons provides the potential for that capability. Next slide, please. As I mentioned also, larger, more collaborative simulations, rather than just a handful of people getting out in a breakout session. Now you can have dozens of students involved in actually going through a simulation and all interacting with one another, just like it normally would be in a live situation in the hospital. Next slide, please. So therefore, I feel that iBeacon combined with virtualization learning environments could drastically improve healthcare education and training beyond what's up to this point has been traditionally offered during healthcare education training sessions. Okay. So this concludes my portion of the presentation. I'm going to turn it over to Sandra to elaborate on augmented reality. Thank you.
Thanks, Gabriel. Can everybody hear me okay? Excellent. So you've seen what it can do in the retail and corporate arena, augmented reality, and you've seen what it can do in the healthcare arena. But there are so many other places that this tool can be used, and it is so powerful. Certainly with education, especially if we think outside of the box. It's an exciting time for humans. Technology is advancing at an astronomical rate, and what might seem like fantasy or science fiction today can actually become reality tomorrow. And this is a perfect case in point. We have augmented reality, where we are marrying computer technology with the real world. And if anybody is a fan of Star Trek like I am, Star Trek The Next Generation, the holodecks, I don't think we're that far off from that anymore. It's pretty darn cool. Next slide, please. So in the education realm, I think we can all see how important it is. But there are some other things that are kind of cool that are actually bringing people together. I don't know, geocaching, not many people have heard of it, but basically there is, you can think of it like a game where people hide little treasures or geocaches around, and they are found everywhere. If you download the app to your cell phone, uh, usually most people have smartphones, but there's also special GPS devices that interact with the geocaches. It will tell you any number of geocaches that happen to be in your vicinity, and you see the little pop-ups on the map. And so one of the things that my family does with this augmented reality uh, game is when we're bored, we decide, hey, are there any geocaches around here? And we go ahead and um, look for something that's close. We go out on a hike. We learn about longitude and latitude, and it brings something that the kids are used to, the computer, but it also takes them outside. Next slide, please. If you've got a hard time getting into an exercise plan and you're not a fan of running, I know I wasn't, it can be kind of boring. There are other augmented reality games that are pretty cool. In this case, Zombies Run. And basically, there is an app for your smartphone, and it is interacted with an actual story that has a plot and actors, and it's voice acted. And you're in runner number 5, and you have to go and get supplies for your town, and there are zombies out there. Now, there really aren't zombies out there. You're going to go and run your normal route, but it's hooked up to the GPS in your phone, and as you're running, you hear the story play out around you. And when you start your run, it's telling you that everything is clear and you feel good, and you're doing your warm-up, and then all of a sudden you hear a voice come on saying, there's zombies, we were wrong, there's 5, they're bearing down on you, start running, run now. And trust me, you actually do run, and your heart rate gets bumped up, and it's another really great way to, again, marry the technology with real life and getting you out there. Next slide, please. Now, there's games, and that's what we talked about in this section. You saw the educational. I wanted to point out that augmented reality really will help with certain things like situated cognition, cognitive apprenticeship, according to Seeley, Brown, Collins, and Duguid. Cognitive apprenticeship supports learning in a domain by enabling students to acquire, develop, and use cognitive tools in authentic domain activity. Similarly, craft apprenticeship allows apprentices to acquire and develop the tools and skills of their craft through authentic work and membership in their trade. What you have here with the augmented reality is allowing more people access to that. So I know that we are running out of time, so if you advance to the next slide, it is our cited works, and if anybody has any questions at all, just, come to us in the discussion forum.